what does success look like to me? What am I driving towards? And those things are very personal. It's amazing what you can accomplish when there's trust in the room. And when you remove that trust, it's remarkable how inefficient you can become.
And when you've got guys around you who are buying into your vision and pushing towards the same thing, it's energizing. Welcome back for another episode on the cusp of a new year.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, well, what a year.
It has been quite the year.
2025, man. Like looking back, man, what are your thoughts? Like it's been like there's been a lot of life lived, I feel like, over this year.
Yeah. It's been if I were to choose a word for me and the company, it'd be a year of pruning.
Okay.
A little bit of it was a hard year, but a freeing year at the same time.
I remember listening to a gardening show, and which is weird because I'm like a horrible gardener. I have one son that's a pretty good gardener. My daughter studies soil, and my wife is a good gardener. But I'm like I'm happy to build a garden or raise bed or whatever, but I'm not good at doing it. But he always would say, when someone would say like, how do I like get this plant healthy? He was always like, prune it, and then he would follow it with like, prune it hard.
Yeah.
Like prune it aggressively. And I would always wait for it. He's like, yeah, and just get in there and don't be shy. Like just prune it aggressively.
Yeah.
And you're going to see like it's going to be worth it. And I feel like for you guys, it's probably that would be true this year.
Yeah. No, I would say that was the theme of our year, was just change, doing hard things, including this.
Yeah.
Like this has been a hard thing. Doesn't come naturally. Came with sacrifice. So,
sure.
But
and we've been doing this podcast now steady for pretty much 6 months, like pretty much on the dot,
yeah.
like one a week over 6 months,
which is wild.
Yeah.
It does not feel like that. It still feels like we're just starting in some ways.
Yeah. And in most ways we are. Like I feel like we've got a long ways to go to be the voice we're hoping to be, and to like have the conversations that we feel are going to be beneficial and meaningful. But I mean, you got to start.
Yep.
And that was one of the things looking for us at the beginning of the year when we were looking at this as a Forge group of guys. We're like, you know what? Let's just start. Let's just like get in the game, and get off the bench essentially, and just see what happens. And so, and I mean, we're super grateful for everyone who's been with us for this time and who has appreciated, something that we've said. We appreciate that. And some of you are along for the journey and have us as part of your discussion in your own life. And that's what we're hoping for. And we love that.
Yeah.
And, it's been interesting.
Yeah. Exciting. I mean, this is something that we've talked about doing for years.
It's true.
And again, just bringing some of our inspiring conversations that we've had at breakfast over the years as friends, and you've been my mentor and big support to me. And I just always kind of had a feeling that, there would be some content here that would be valuable to more than to share with others. So it's more than just us.
Yeah.
And I really feel like we've done that. But that being said, I still feel like there's a lot more to come. So
yeah. And I think that one of the things that we've tried to communicate, and I say try because it's hard to know sometimes if our communication is exactly what we expect, but we've tried to be a voice for some of the hard things that we've got to do in order to get through to where we need to be, to kind of recognize our talents, our giftings, all of those things, but then recognizing that without effort and without struggle and without failure, we don't capitalize on I think the things that we've been given. And so when you talk about a year of pruning, it's like, well, that's kind of part of our vision, is to communicate what that looks like. I mean, I think that it's tempting to sometimes just talk about the wins, but I think we've been pretty deliberate about talking about the wins, the losses, and everything in between.
Yeah. Well, business is not, and this is kind of the theme of what we're doing, is so many people you see online doing these shows and stuff, they're only talking about the big wins and the opportunity that's out there. Yeah. And there's some reality in doing business that I find most people don't go through all the nitty-gritty details and all the hardships that are involved with running a business or even just doing life in general.
Well, yeah, and the thing that's interesting, I went for breakfast with a local guy who's been a professor for 36 years here in town recently, and just a couple mornings ago, and we were just talking about kind of what it takes to pursue your gifting and what it takes to like not just sit on a talent but actually work a talent and essentially man up, and what that looks like. And it's something that takes effort, and it's not a straight line, and it takes failure, and it takes pressing through that. And I think that if you are working in isolation, if you are running a business where you don't have a lot of collaboration with other guys who are in the same place as you or similar, it can feel pretty lonely, and you can often wonder if you're off track because if you're going through a year of pruning and you feel like it's necessary, you can second guess that pretty easily.
Yeah.
Because you can always make short-term decisions that are going to feel good in the short term.
Yeah.
But may not be the right long-term decisions. And the further you go in business, the further you realize that, whoa, wait a second, like this might be good right now, but it could shut down opportunity in the future or not hone me in the way that it should. And when you prune a tree, you're cutting the pieces that are taking energy away from the places that actually need the energy for real growth.
Yeah.
And I think in life in general, it's super easy to do that.
Yeah.
Is to just let things grow and take energy and time and resource that really shouldn't be taking time, energy, or resource at all.
Yeah.
And pruning takes some discipline.
Yeah. And when pruning a business, that for us, it was some systems needed to go. It meant saying no to things that we were doing that we shouldn't have been doing, that felt right in the moment.
Yeah.
That in some contexts we felt like we needed to do in order to generate revenue or stay busy.
Yeah.
And some of its personnel we let go. Like, there's many things in your business that sometimes need to be pruned, but pruning's uncomfortable. It requires change. It requires hard conversations. It requires large amount of accountability, letting people down. When you're saying no to people who need your help, and changing your systems, and like it was not an easy year. But
let's talk about that a tiny bit. Like when you say letting people down, what are you referring to specifically?
Well, okay, so like, let's even just use our customers for example.
Yeah.
Like we're in the roofing trade.
Yeah.
Well, that involves waterproofing people's homes. And one thing that we were doing this year was dealing with people's roofs leaking, call out for repairs and leaks. And,
right.
And
they're not necessarily jobs that you've done in the past, but just random people that have an issue. Random. Like currently we've got water coming into our home. Can you help us type of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, it's really hard, especially having one of the more reputable names in town, to tell someone who's got water coming into their home, like, sorry, no. It's just like, oh, well, no one else is getting back to me. And there is actually a pretty good need there that is like we've always tried to fill. But when you just go through the numbers, it's just super unhealthy for us as a company when you see how much time and effort go into those little tasks.
Yeah.
That it's quite devastating when you're not generating full revenue on where your team should be.
Right.
So, yeah.
Which is super challenging. So what you're saying is that people calling you, your temptation is to be like, yeah, we can do it all.
Yeah.
And we can just take care of you in whatever way is necessary. But the reality says it's not healthy for your company to take on small repairs because you have a big crew that does best with big big projects, but a certain size of project. You have a range, and you're trying to define that. That's part of this year has been.
Yeah, learning to say no to things that don't fit in our systems and where we're good.
Yeah.
So saying no to people working for us.
Right, yeah.
We actually had a conversation here earlier when I let a guy go who tried out, and he was like devastated to the point where I had other people reaching out to me being like, dude, like, what's your problem? Like,
right, yeah.
Well, it's just not a cultural fit.
Yeah.
Oh, what does that mean? Like, tough conversations, because we're being like, one of the biggest things we've changed is like we're really protecting our culture and at a very high level, and that means being very selective about who's going to get to come in and be a part of the team.
Yeah.
So and trying to do that while simultaneously letting a bunch of guys go last year, because that was part of the pruning process, was we really defined our values, and when we started living by our values, the stakeholders in the company who didn't share those values, we started butting heads really quick.
It gets uncomfortable.
So you start pruning by letting those guys go, and civilly and as much as you could in certain circumstances. You start by letting those guys go. Okay, well, now we've just shrunk our staff, taken
created
two
a
step
void.
backs.
Yeah.
And okay, now we need to step forward again. So we need to hire. And now, oh wait, we can't just hire anybody like we used to. We need to be more selective about who's going to come in.
Yeah.
Because what was the point of getting rid of all these guys if I'm just going to replace them with people with the same mentality?
Totally.
So very hard. And our growth was like excruciatingly slow. And it's something we got to get better at, and vetting people to get in.
Sure.
At this point right now, we found a few really great hires this year. And it was extremely hard to say no to a bunch of decent workers.
Sure.
In one case, like talent. In another case, opportunity, experience. Saying no to all that because first and foremost, I want people who want to be a part of our team and our culture first.
Yeah.
And even the guys we've hired are green, and they're going to take time to develop.
Sure. And resource. And investment.
Yeah. But they've got a phenomenal mentality. They want to go to school. They want to. So 3 years down the road, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be super worth it. But in this season, the season we're taking 2 steps back, pruning the people, and then saying no to all the applicants who normally I honestly would have hired. I did more interviews this year, I swear, than the last 5 years combined. And it had to be major priority for me, so that I'm intentionally looking for people to fit our culture who can actually build this company with us, not just come in for a job where they can make some money and move on.
And essentially be dead weight.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. You can see, and this is something that I often say, is that with our type of work, when we're working up on the horizon on a roof, you can see your crew from around the neighborhood. Like, it's not, you can't hide as a roofer. Like, it's just no way. And interestingly, you can also hear the conversations. Like, I know I've worked beside roofing companies, 3-4 houses down, and like, you can hear what they had for dinner last night, as well as many other things you don't want to hear necessarily. And so having the right image requires having the right people, because it's not something hidden. In some places, if you've got people working night shifts stocking shelves or whatever it may be that just aren't in the public eye, you can manipulate your crews in such a way that you have certain people in front of people and other people not in front of people. But with what you're doing, I mean, you're in front of people. You're on their properties, you're in their spaces, and so if you're going to hire people that don't share your values and share your same almost posture, that's almost a word that you could use, then it doesn't take very long that your crew's going to be affected, because they're going to be affected by all those people around them. Your customers are affected, and essentially your whole reputation is affected by that.
Yeah. I mean, use the word manipulate.
Yeah.
And before this year, that's what I felt like I had to do with my staff to motivate them.
Right.
If people don't genuinely share in our values and what the company's doing, and they don't have a growth mindset, and they're not being a teammate to not only their coworkers but the company as a whole, then they're really there for a job. So you're just manipulating them by how much you're paying them.
Right.
It's just an exchange,
and hoping that they value that enough to perform reasonably.
Which in a residential business, some people will suffer greatly and make the money to make it worth it for them. Whereas in a residential business, we just can't pay that kind of wage. Despite it, I do think that roofers are one of the most underpaid trades out there, given the fact of the risk of the job and everything,
and the importance of it.
Yeah, it's pretty important job.
Yeah.
But that being said, I just can't pay. It's not a trade that people should get into because they're going to make great money at it. Not yet. In a few more years, I think once some of the older tradesmen keep retiring, I think the demand's going to go up and up on all trades.
It is,
but especially on hard-working.
The intense labor trades are gonna. And we've seen that change. Like from the time that I was a kid till now, there's definitely it's much better now for the tradesmen than it was. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Oh no, I think there's very bright future in the trades.
Absolutely,
especially with AI and like there's It's a good time to be a tradesman or getting into the trades right now. I
think so. And I think it will be for the foreseeable future. I know that people say that everything's going to become automated. I think we're a long ways off.
Oh, yeah.
And particularly with the kind of work we do, I know that there are robotic roofing installers at this point already, but man, we know the places you've got to get to, how you've got to access. I mean, for us to even crane something onto a roof sometimes takes some pretty decent shoehorning to get it up and in where you need to go. So I think we're a long ways off from that being fully automated. A long ways.
Oh, decades. Like
I would
know
say.
it's accelerating fast, but like the logistics and it's not a matter of just installing a product.
No.
Like there's so many and like variables and factors.
There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of nuance. And what's interesting in the trades is that there are certain systems and certain things that are standardized, but you're constantly shifting and accommodating and figuring out how to work in a particular setting. Like it's someone like on a tightrope where they're constantly readjusting their balance and you can see it in real time. It's similar to that. It's like, it's not just that you're just running straightforward ahead. On some jobs you are, but for the most part you're like, okay, this should be square, it's not square, how do we deal with this? This is rotted and it shouldn't be rotted, we're going to have to replace that. Oh, now we're going to have to replace this as well. Those are calls that are made in real time on the scene, and I think for most of the tradesmen that I see, it's similar, especially if you're doing renovation type stuff.
So like it's not as simple as just installing shingles. Like,
no, it's not.
Automation is going to really struggle to, not that it won't one day. Like, I have no idea where this is going. But
no, and none of us do. But I think that we're a long ways off. And I look at a lot of the young tradespeople that are coming up into the trades, and I feel really good for them.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know what? Like if these guys that have a leadership mentality, and I mean, you have some of them on your crew, which all things being equal should have a heck of a career.
Oh, yeah.
Like should do extremely well over time.
I'm really excited for that.
Oh,
and one of the things that's so good about the trades is one thing they're finding with AI is it's putting a high value, like it's making us as humans appreciate humanity and craftsmanship and handmade things to the point where people are actually, when they get an email and they can see all the grammatical errors in it in the corporate world, they're like, this person actually wrote this email. They didn't just get ChatGPT to write it. Totally. So for like tradesmen who have an actual gifting and skill in building stuff with their hands, we are going to value that more and more and more.
Oh, for sure.
So if you're a skilled tradesman, then I think you got a bright future ahead of you.
Yeah.
So
no, I totally agree. Looking back at this year for me it's just been a real treat. I think this has been one of the neatest years I've had in a long time. And because I started this year not being sure if I'd be able to be on the tools this year or not, just because of a little bit of health stuff that we walked through in a bit of detail back in the day, and just not being sure of that, not sure of what the year was going to look like. But interestingly, and this is something that I realized through COVID, is that some people do extremely well not knowing what's around the next bend, and other people it's really frustrating, depending on what type of mentality you have, what type of personality. For me, I love surprise. I love not being sure what's happening next. I enjoy that. To me, it is not a negative, it's a positive. And so going into this year, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to look. And it turns out that, it felt almost providential, just working for the right people, doing the right types of jobs, having great guys around me, and then being able to work on the podcast on the side. Like we'd often cram this into like early mornings, late, like whenever it worked, basically just kind of cram it in. being super busy, not really having the time, but then saying, you know, this week, whenever it rains too hard to be out on a job, let's just jump in there and get it done. Great fun. Helping to publish the book with Jeff, the Gridlessness book, which is really doing super well. Like we've been seeing it's consistently, you know, near the top of the list on Amazon for the categories that it's in, and it's cruising along. So that's been great fun. But I think just the fact of getting out there and being out in the elements and not being sure that I could be there, but then being able to be there has been wonderful for me. And really, and I think this is another thing that we've talked about over the years, just focusing a bit more on choosing joy, like just choosing to enjoy the moment, choosing to enjoy what's going on around me. It's been a wonderful year, man.
Yeah, I've really seen that in you. It's been an inspiring year.
It's fun.
And I think it has a lot to do with what you said earlier about having the right guys around you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going to pump up our Forge guys here a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
But like what we're dealing with in this room.
Yeah.
Like the podcast, sure, but also just constant communication and dealings with Joel, Chris, and yourself and other things we're working on the side. There's something that is like, you just can't, well, maybe that you could put it into words. I can't right now, but just the synergy and the inspiration, the motivation and the accountability I get from being around other business people who are in the same world as me, but are not directly involved. It's been really inspiring. And even through this year of pruning, there's been many times where even just through my conversations and business dealings with other people who are, again, very similar to where I'm at, just the accountability, the checks I get, it's just like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I forgot about that. I should keep focused on that or say no to this.
Yes.
And it's one of the most invaluable things that you can do as a human, especially as a business owner, entrepreneur, but have people around you who speak life into you and hold you accountable and inspire you, motivate you.
And fascinatingly, like all our businesses are doing well because we're all running businesses on the side. I mean, not on the side, but like our main day job is running, you know, contracting companies. What we're doing together is doing nothing but losing money, right? Like truly. Yeah. And so like what we're starting here is this is not about trying to make a ton of money. This is trying to follow some values that we've had and trying to put feet on some stuff, and with no like real knowledge of when our balance sheet will be something that we want to be proud of. But so that's interesting because it feels like, to me, at least at this point, it's keeping us really honest with each other. Like we're in each other's corner, not because we're making a ton of money off of each other, not because it's even like highly defendable, other than it's just bringing us life. Yeah. And I think in doing that, I think everything else that we're doing in our lives has been, has benefited.
Oh, big time.
I think even to the point of like our families and stuff as well, I believe.
Yeah. My day job, my inspiration at work, everything is better because of, well, having these conversations and working with the Forge guys towards bigger things that really aren't about making money. It's just about doing something bigger than ourselves that we want to be great. Yeah.
And you know, I think if you're listening to this and you're like, well, good for you. Let's just put this kind of back at you in a sense and say, well, if you don't have people that you can be honest with and that you can like wrestle the hard things in life through and kind of dream about the future with, it's a worthwhile objective to say, hey, in this next year, I'm going to find some guys. I'm going to find some people that, and you know, like, I think that there's got to be a strong editing process. Like, it's not like we just arbitrarily threw a dart at a board and said, yeah, I'll team up with you and you and you. No, it's more about, you know, doing smaller deals alongside of each other, rubbing shoulders in different ways, and then all of a sudden saying, you know what, like, let's do this a bit more formally. And for quite a while through the year, we were meeting online or through some sort of a call at least once a week, sometimes up to 3 or 4 times a week, the four of us, even though we didn't have time per se, but we were just making it happen.
Just made the time.
Through the busiest time through the fall, we've let that slip for a bit. But we're going to get going on that again over this next period through the winter here. And some of the chats there was no direct fruit from necessarily. Some of it was just like, hey, where are we at? What's going on? And then others, I think, were very like there was direct fruit from. Yeah. But I think that overall, these discussions have just helped to create a more focused year on the things that we should be focused on, and also just a sense of brotherhood that you don't have without being deliberate.
Yeah. Even the chats that we didn't get synergy and weren't dreaming and planning. Like we had a lot of conversations like that.
Yeah.
But some of the more meaningful ones were just accountability checks.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a single call where we weren't like working through things and even being like, hey, have you done this? You've committed to doing these things, or how are you doing personally?
Yeah.
And part of it is like, it's not just all business either. We don't just talk shop. No. Like we genuinely care about each other's families and what our lives look like outside of just work.
Totally.
Because it's about brotherhood means growing each other as people, not just businessmen.
Yeah, in health and health or you know, the word shalom is wholeness. Like there's a pursuit of defining what success looks like in our lives through our relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, like I'm just saying, if you're listening to this and you're like, and you're trying to make this a third person discussion, this should be a first person discussion. And to be clear, like you and I had a pretty close relationship this way for a long time. And so it wasn't like we started off with 4 guys. It wasn't that simple. It's like we started off having conversations, and even I would argue that there was years when we had fewer conversations, and then years when we had more conversations, and we both recognize the value, and I think our spouses recognize the value of like when we're connecting more often, it's better for us.
Yeah.
And then bringing more guys into our discussions has been immensely valuable. But I guess my point is, it didn't just start with 4 guys that are like, yeah, we're all united, we have the same vision. No, in fact, when we started talking, Joel wasn't even in business. You know what I mean? And Chris was still deciding, you know, what he was going to do with his life, kind of thing. So it's not like these things all come together like fully packaged. Yeah. But I think making the commitment to say, I want to be the type of person that can sit down in a room with guys and discuss hard things in real time, and have a certain level of transparency that's just not common, I would argue, in our society. I think making that determination, if you determine to be that person, then attracting those people to be around you becomes like, that's the next step, and that's what happens. And when you have someone in your corner, and then to expand that when the time is right and when you find the right people, and frankly, if you don't share values, you can't do this.
Yeah.
But if you share the values, I think you owe it to yourself to invest.
Not at this level where we're actually like doing business together at a pretty deep, intimate level.
Yeah.
I do think there's total, like, you should be able to go out and find a mentor who's years or decades ahead of where you are now.
Yeah.
And there's something to learn from everybody.
There is.
You can seek mentorship out. I think what we have as a group it's very special, and it's out there for everybody. But even our circumstance is super weird, because I've been working with you since I graduated high school in 2008.
Yeah.
So we're pushing a couple decades of us knowing each other. I didn't meet Joel until just over a year ago.
That's right.
And Chris and I have been kind of doing business together. We did a project together over a couple of years ago. We've always been in each other's corner, but at a very far distance. And it's just life circumstances that all of a sudden brought us together at this level.
But interestingly, not geography, because he's moved down south and we're up north, and so we're pursuing this kind of like iron sharpens iron relationship even at a distance, which I think is great.
Well, yeah, we didn't actually start doing business together at a deep level until he moved.
Yeah.
Which is pretty weird. Yeah. But, I think there's a reason for that. And ultimately, it's been pretty special. Yeah. I would also encourage, for me, I couldn't have done something like this with guys like you until very, very recently. And the biggest reason
Speaking of
for
Forge
that,
in particular, yes.
Yeah, Forge and any level of business with anybody. Even my previous partnerships I've had went through real strain, and I would argue that's just because I had a real ego thing. And the room need to kind of revolve around me. And going back to what we were saying earlier about you need to have people in the room who make you want to grow, who make you dream and inspire you.
Yeah.
There's a great question that you want to ask yourselves is like, do you want to be in a room where you know the most and you're the biggest, the smartest guy in the room? Or do you want to be the opposite, where you're in a room and everybody around you is bigger and smarter than you are? And for most of my career, I wanted to be the big shot in the room.
Sure.
And I didn't even recognize it. And it's like, it wasn't, I think it's pretty natural for people to aspire to be
people that are driven.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I wanted to be great. Yep. I wanted to achieve things. And in some ways, in very not good ways, I wanted to be the one with all the flashy things and look like I had my crap together.
Sure.
And it's not until very recently where I've had that change in perspective where it's like, actually, I don't want to be the guy in the room who knows everything. I want to be the guy who is growing and aspiring to be like people in the room who are further ahead than where I am now. And I want to be around people who are going to help me grow and inspire me to be better.
Well, and I think looking back at a year of pruning and recognizing that as a good thing in real time is a sign that, maturity is there's at least a certain level of maturity. The cool thing about life is that it's not about arrival. And I think that's one of the things that's so refreshing. It's like, because I find it semi-amusing, because when I hear my kids doing this at this point, they say, well, when I was young, I thought this way, and now I've come this far. And that's amazing because it's true. But interestingly, they're going to say the same thing 5-10 years from now. They're going to look back at current and be like, wow, like, I thought I really had it together, but there was so much I didn't know. And I feel like that we are all in this space where hopefully we can look back at our current place and be like, you know what? We've come a ways. Yeah. We've gone through some stuff. We've figured out some stuff. We've let go of some stuff. We've hopefully, achieved some level of maturity without the thought that we have achieved it fully. Yeah. And I think that's exciting. And I think that when I think about the conversations that we've had, specifically, and of course there's a lot of other people in our lives. Like, this is not like the four of us. It's not like, okay, we've got our guys and that's it. It's not like that at all. Like, we have a lot of, we live in a great community. We're invested heavily in our community. We have wonderful people all around us. So it's not like it's exclusive. That said, for the sake of discussion, some of the discussions that we've had with the four of us behind closed doors, essentially, like just hashing through stuff. What a wonderful chance to talk about things that we can, like, we have these internal discussions and we can start to convince ourselves of certain things. And then you can bring it out to other guys who you trust and who you care about and who care about you. And they can chisel away at some stuff, or sometimes just like basically be like, no, like, like, yes, but no, like, nice thought, but try again kind of thing, which just helps add a lot of clarity. Yeah. Like, sometimes there's just discussions we had, like, maybe we should go this direction, maybe that direction, or how, what is our priority? And then when you are able to, like, verbally get that out on the table, it's wonderful, man.
Oh yeah.
And it's great. And sometimes it's a little bit annoying. You know what I mean? Like, not in a horrible way, but it can be like, come on, man. Like, I like this thought. But then, you know what I mean? Like, there can be that where you can almost feel like, well, I gotta, and the cool thing is when there is pushback, if you really think you're onto something, you might have to find a different way to phrase it or a different way to come across it. And then other times you go away from a conversation and you spend a week thinking about it and be like, yeah, okay, yeah, I can let that go.
Yeah. But that's what, like, every it's almost like, again, like a marriage. It's like you have your conversations that you're excited and ready to conquer the world and do everything together. And then you have your conversations that's like, wow, that was defeating. Yeah. But you know what? That's what life is. There's going to be a bit of that. And you're not going to get growth without, being sharpened a little bit, being pruned a little bit, being held accountable and told that some of your ideas might be dumb. because guess what? We all have dumb ideas. So, and having the people in your life who will actually look you in the face and say, hey, that's a really stupid idea. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. It's annoying and it hurts, especially the pride and ego. But man, how valuable is that?
It's good.
It's a great question to have. Do you have people in your life who are actually willing to tell you to your face, like, that's not a good idea?
Yeah.
Like, maybe you should reconsider. You know, and actually, I'm saying that out loud. We've never said anything like that to each other. I've never told anyone their idea is dumb, but I do give pushback, and I've been pushed back on really hard.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that we say it without using the terminology, but I think there's times at which it's just like, well, this may not be prudent.
Yeah. Or let's put that on the side for right now.
Yeah.
Is that a distraction?
Yeah.
And that's actually between me and Joel. That's our language. It's like, ooh, there's this opportunity. Because there's opportunity around us everywhere.
For sure.
And one of the biggest things we need to do as business owners, but also as brothers, is hold accountable. It's like, is that a distraction?
Yeah.
Is that part of like where your focus should be? Or is this just going to
muddy the waters?
Yeah. Maybe you should say no to that.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's what pruning does. Pruning, it's kind of funny when you think about, you know, saying no in order to create opportunity. And I think it goes without saying that you have to do that, but I think that it also goes against our desire to just be able to do it all.
Yeah.
And I think that in life there's a certain percentage of us, and I think most, you know, Joel and Chris and yourself and me, we're all kind of in this category where we feel like, yeah, if there's a challenge that presents itself, we can put our shoulder into it and we can figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, we can literally do this. And, you know, kind of like that all takers, like, yeah, let's go. And it's not true. We can't take on just anything. We have a limited capacity, like anyone, but we have this mentality where we can figure this out. We can make it happen. But
well, it's not a matter of can we, it's a matter of should we.
Well, and this is just it. This is exactly it. It's like, okay, fair. Like, you can fight that battle, fair. But to what end? And if it's and ultimately, and you know, and it's one of those things. I'm dealing with this with a customer right now. So this is how it looks. And I do not have control over this project. I got brought into this project along the way, and the homeowner is essentially generaling his own retirement home. And he's a wonderful guy, and it's great, and I appreciate working with him. And I'm pretty choosy about who I do big projects with. And this guy, I choose to took on a bit more than I initially was going to, because I like him. So to be fair, this is no disrespect. This is just life. So this guy is building this home, and up here, because it's so cold, and right now, like, I mean, we walk outside right now, and most of you, if you live in the South, you wouldn't breathe right now. It's cold out here. Yeah. And so insulation seems like a really good thing. Like, having more insulation than standard on your home seems very wise. But what people find it hard that aren't in the industry day by day and realizing the different choices, what they don't recognize is the trade-off. There is low-hanging fruit that is so simple to do, where you get a ton of value, and then you can add to that, and it feels like you're doing the right thing, but you're literally quadrupling the work and quadrupling the cost for a very marginal increase in value. Very marginal. And so this guy is putting on a certain amount of insulation on the outside of his house, like basically cocooning his house in this insulation. But then, because it's so deep, you have to add strapping, and then because of that, your how you do your cladding is a lot more complex. How you do your waterproofing on your exterior is much more complex, and we still don't have crews here that do this super efficiently. So there's a certain inefficiency attached to the task. Yeah. And there's not great systems around this, even though the government's pushing this direction to like net zero housing, etc. All that to say, my builders who have gone through this process and worked out the pros and the cons have come up with a solution, which is 5/8 inch halo, which is like a breathable exterior that takes the place of building wrap, and you put it on quickly. The window application is very simple. They've got it down to a science, and what you have is a 5/8 inch thermal break, but then your cladding can go over top of that without any change to the cladding other than just slightly longer fasteners. But you don't have to strap it all. In other words, the return on your dollar is wonderful.
Yeah,
that thermal,
really
that small thermal break is what matters. And I'm not saying that there's not value to the additional 1.5 inches or 1 3/8 or whatever of exhalation, if you want to call it proper term. But what you're paying for it, like, I don't know how long it's going to take for you to get that investment back. I don't think so.
Like,
I don't think so. And so that's a place where you're putting in more effort, more money, more resource for extremely limited gain. And I think that's just an example of how easy it is, if we're not talking to the people who care and know, how easy it is to get sidetracked.
Yeah.
How easy it is to like be like, oh yeah, this is cool. This is what I'm doing. And you tell people who don't understand where you're at, you tell people who just kind of like think you're cool and you know what you're doing, and they'll cheer you on. They'll be like, man, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
More our value.
Yeah, that's amazing.
More efficient home.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah.
Great plan.
That's
exactly.
great.
And so then you feel like, oh, dude, you know, like your endorphins are kicking in and you're like, yeah, I'm the man. I'm doing it right. And again, with all respect to my customer, wonderful, but good intentions. And it's not a stupid thing, but it's just one of those things where if you can possibly have people in your corner where you can have those discussions and up front weigh the pros and cons. And I think in business, there's so many moving parts.
Oh, man.
And you can be mostly right and still wildly wrong.
Yeah.
And so having people to be like, you know what, I've tried that and I wouldn't do it again. And then we can have the discussion, which we do, is like, okay, so you tried it and what were the pros and the cons? And you can have that battle, and you can still as an individual make the choice to be like, no, I'm going to do this. Yeah. But now at least you go in with your eyes open. At least you have an awareness of the pros and the cons. And it's not just your own internal, non-objective, I would say, quite subjective, like, because usually we can convince ourselves of something if we want to.
Yeah. Well, and going back to your customer there, best of intentions.
Totally.
Like, and that's what society wants more of.
Sure.
More efficiency.
Absolutely.
You know, greener house.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
everything around him that he sees on the internet is pushing him to do this thing. And again, it's not wrong.
No, it's not wrong.
But, you know, is the value there?
No.
And in business, every day we're making decisions with the best of intentions.
Yeah.
But even as we're making decisions, are there little things where it's like, oh, you should do that, but just do this component instead. And you radically increase your value and efficiency on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get that unless you have people around you who, again, have already done what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Or are in the thick of it and doing it side by side with you. And that's why I'd highly encourage you.
Are willing to wrestle with you.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, in wrapping this up, I think that here's like a strong encouragement from us saying, be that person, determined to be that person, and determined to find the people that you can get in your corner and be like, and wrestle the things through with and be transparent with. And yeah, you know what? It takes a certain vulnerability. It takes a certain amount of like willing to be candid about things that you normally keep to yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is a trade-off. And so if you have people that are wildly like loose with their tongues or stuff, well, okay, you can't do that with people like that. You have to be, you have to find people that you have at least a decent base level of trust. But again, be that person that where you can be trusted. And then it's not that hard to find people that you can trust. And if a mistake is made, again, you just be honest, you work through it, and then you give her.
Yeah.
But I think for us, the benefits have just wildly outweighed any negatives through, you know, just thinking about the things we've wrestled through, the things that we've, and I don't even think we've hit our sweet spot. I think we're just still getting there.
Oh yeah. No, I totally agree. I think the future's bright. But looking back at this year, I mean, one thing we've all been intentional on that's made this is going to be a pivoting year, I think, for all of us.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why is because we were very intentional about who's in the room and what our position is and our posture is and who we're letting influence our daily decisions. We're allowing ourselves to be held accountable and vulnerable too. It's hard to be held accountable if you're not being vulnerable and putting yourself out there and allowing others to critique you. So,
and what a joy to prune while wrestling with stuff versus just pruning arbitrarily and hoping.
Yeah.
Like, it's great.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys once again. We hope that you've had a great 2025. We genuinely hope that 2026 is just going to be unbelievable for you. Yeah. Like, we're going into this next year with a lot of optimism, with a lot of dreams, and man, just hoping for the best for you guys and trusting that we can have some great conversations in the new year.
Totally.
All right. Oh, hey, I do want to thank Seth and Kaylin, who have been behind the scenes with our podcast over this last since inception. Seth does our main production and editing, and Kaylin is working behind the scenes, making sure that things work out both technically as well as getting things posted and stuff. And I want to thank these guys for being in our corner and doing a great job.
Yeah, totally. Thanks, guys.